The rain fell in relentless sheets over the bustling streets of Lagos, turning unpaved alleys into rivers of mud. Streetlights flickered, casting long shadows on the peeling walls of the old neighborhood where Femi, a wiry man with eyes too tired for his age, quietly moved. To most people, he was just another petty thief, a man who had spent more nights in police custody than in his own bed. Children whispered his name in fear, shopkeepers crossed the street to avoid him, and even the local policemen had learned to shake their heads when he passed. Femi had earned a reputation, but beneath the layers of scorn, there was a heart that still remembered kindness. That evening, Femi had nothing but a torn jacket and the hunger gnawing at his ribs. He ducked into a shadowed alley, thinking only of staying dry. Yet, as he rounded the corner, he heard a soft, raspy cry, so fragile it could have been mistaken for the wind. Femi froze. The sound came again, closer this time. He peered into the dim glow of a flickering lamp and saw a small figure, a child, lying on the muddy ground, shaking violently. "Please, help," the child whimpered. Femi's first instinct was fear. Helping could mean trouble he had grown too familiar with. But something in the child's eyes, wide and terrified, struck a chord in him. For the first time in years, Femi felt a pull that had nothing to do with survival or money. It was something far deeper, the raw, urgent need to do good, even when the world had labeled him as bad. He knelt beside the boy. Hey, it's okay. "I'm here," he said gently. The child coughed, a wet, rattling sound, and Femi realized he was in serious danger. Fever burned his small body, and the shallow breaths made Femi's heart twist painfully. Femi carried him through the rain, ignoring the judgments of neighbors who peeked from behind their doors. Some muttered under their breath, "That criminal again," but he paid no mind. His focus was the child, whose tiny weight seemed heavier with every step, not because of size, but because of the responsibility pressing on Femi's chest. By the time they reached the local clinic, Femi's clothes were soaked, and his hands trembled from exhaustion. The nurse at the gate recoiled, eyeing him suspiciously. "Who is this? What happened?" she demanded. "A child, he's very sick," Femi replied, his voice urgent but calm. "Please, help him." The nurse hesitated, casting a doubtful glance at Femi. "And you are?" "Just someone who wants him alive," Femi said, and in that moment, the weight of all his past mistakes, the petty thefts, the late nights, the harsh whispers, felt irrelevant. Here, now, he had a chance to do something that mattered. The doctors and nurses rushed the boy inside. Femi waited outside, shivering, soaked, and feeling like a stranger in a world that had never given him a second chance. Minutes stretched into eternity, and he feared the worst. But then a doctor emerged, wiping her hands on her apron. "He'll make it," she said softly. "Thanks to you." Femi blinked. "Me? But call yourself what you want," the doctor interrupted, smiling faintly. "Tonight, you were a hero." For the first time in years, Femi's chest loosened. He had always thought of himself as invisible, condemned, unworthy. Yet, in the rain, in the mud, carrying a fragile child through the darkness, he had discovered something priceless, that humanity does not belong to the perfect or the pious, it belongs to anyone brave enough to act with compassion. Word of the night's events spread quickly through the neighborhood. The whispers of fear about Femi slowly shifted into murmurs of awe. People who had once crossed the street to avoid him now offered smiles, warm greetings, and, in some cases, small gestures of gratitude, a bowl of soup, a blanket, a nod of respect. The community, which had long separated us from them, began to blur the lines, united in the realization that no one is beyond redemption. But the story didn't end with the boy's recovery. Inspired by the night's events, neighbors banded together to help others in need, forming a small but determined network of support for vulnerable children in the area. Femi, once isolated and feared, became an integral part of this quiet revolution. His past did not vanish, he could never undo every mistake, but he learned that one act of courage could ripple through lives, transforming not just one child, but an entire community. The child, who they named Chinedu, grew strong and joyful, and every year on the anniversary of that stormy night, Femi would quietly leave a small gift at the boy's doorstep, sometimes a loaf of bread, sometimes a handwritten note. No words of pride, no declarations of heroism. Just silent reminders that even a so-called criminal could carry light into the darkest places. And in those small, shared moments, Femi realized the profound truth: it is never too late to change, to reach out, to heal. Kindness, selflessness, and courage can emerge from the most unexpected places, and the bonds of community can transform lives more powerfully than fear ever could. By the time the next rainy season came, people no longer spoke of Femi as a criminal. They spoke of him as a neighbor, a friend, a quiet hero who had shown that compassion could transcend judgment, and that hope could be found in even the most unlikely hands. And in the heart of Lagos, under skies heavy with rain and the laughter of children playing in puddles, the city whispered a message for everyone: in every soul, there is a chance for redemption; in every act of kindness, there is the power to change the world; and in the darkest of nights, even a single light can guide countless hearts home. If you believe kindness and selflessness can really change lives, like, share, and subscribe so you can get more stories like this one.